My name is Charlie Meier. I serve as Assistant Republican Leader and State Representative. I represent the 109th District, which includes portions of Bond, Clinton, Madison, St. Clair, and Washington counties. This has been my battle since 2012. I am here today to share my continued frustration and disappointment with DHS and its chronic failure to keep our most vulnerable residents with developmental disabilities safe in the majority of state-operated developmental centers throughout Illinois. Unfortunately, the abuse and neglect that is happening does not stop there. It's been happening in our Scylla group homes as well. We are talking about people with severe disabilities that either can't communicate, can't bathe themselves, or can't feed themselves. These most vulnerable residents living in the developmental centers throughout our state can't protect themselves, and I'm very sad to learn that more reports that our most vulnerable residents under state care are being punched, slapped, hosed down, thrown about, and dragged, in some cases left to die. We are also talking about disabled individuals who have severe behavior issues, whose needs cannot be met in small community settings. I want to talk to you about a pair of twins for a minute. Nonverbal, living in a Scylla. Their only issue was why they were on hospice. They were not fed. Thankfully, somebody finally, late on a Saturday, moved them out at midnight and got them somewhere where they could be fed. They were on hospice to die. They're thriving now. I'm going to tell you about somebody I'll call John. He's living at Murray now. After coming there, he wanted to know if he did something wrong, if he would be locked outside barefoot in the snow, or what his punishments were going to be, because that's what happened in the Scyllas to him. After being there a while, several years, he finally opened up and he said, I wonder what happened to that one worker. I hope somebody did something to him because he raped me. That's what happened in the Scylla. So it's happening to our developmentally disabled across the state in DHS care. We have to do something about it. We filed many bills over the years and legislation, and most of them are never heard in committee even. In March of 2017, the Illinois House of Representatives approved my legislation, House Resolution 34, directing the Auditor General to conduct a performance audit of the community integrated living arrangements, CILLA's program administered by the Illinois Department of Human Services. This resolution was introduced in light of the abuse, neglect, which took place throughout the state in group homes and developmentally disabled centers dating back to 2011. We've had 3 audits from the Auditor General that I have pushed to get done. The 4th one is being done now. These audits showed when the state went in closing Jacksonville that these residents were basically sold like cattle on an auction, with their disabilities being held up and being misrepresented. Providers could bid on them and take them to their homes. They showed that DHS back then put an ad on Craigslist that you could supplement your family's income by taking a family member, by taking a resident home and taking care of them. When the 3rd audit was released in September of 2022, the Auditor General confirmed the state does not regularly follow up on the suspected criminal activity of Medicaid providers in the state, which includes group homes, otherwise known as CILLAs, for the developmentally disabled. As of last September, 74% of the audit recommendations for ADHS were not fully implemented. There is another audit being done right now. I said last fall, and I will say it again. This is beyond disappointing. It is as if the people in power don't care about the safety of our developmentally disabled persons. My colleagues and I haven't stopped advocating for the safety and well-being of our most vulnerable, and we won't stop until they are safe. At the beginning of this year's legislative session in February, my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate called for public hearings to discuss the serious concerns regarding disturbing reports of neglect and abuse of residents at Schultz Mental Health Developmental Center in Southern Illinois, but our requests were not met by the Democratic majority. We provided lawmakers and DHS with several proposals to help stop the abuse and neglect that showed in our legislation, and most of the ideas were ignored. The same plan can be put in place in all developmental centers. Our plan introduced earlier this year is called the Help Protect and Improve Our Home Plan for developmentally disabled centers, and includes House Bills 1298, House Bill 2998, House Bill 3545, among the other suggested improvements to be made by DHS. Install cameras in common areas, implement ongoing staff training, amass hiring the qualified staff to help. We've had a job fair, we had 111 people show up. They only hire 3 at a time. This all goes through CMS. There are major problems. Many people who are wanting that job will wait 6 months before it's finally offered to them, and they have a job somewhere else. We need jobs now. We should be able to hire within less than a month. We need to track these incidents by locations and trends. We need to increase the administrative and security inspections. We need to remind our employees that they see something, they have to report it. We have to encourage and welcome parents and guardians to be there with their loved ones, to watch over them. We can't have them locked out where they're not seeing what's going on. When family members aren't there, more abuse can happen. We need new leadership and directors. When you have a facility that has everything going on as in Choate, and the director is still there, I think that's a problem. We've gone on record asking for a new director there, and we believe this should happen. And we have to speed up the reevaluation of the inspector general coming in and inspecting. We can't be paying employees for 13 months that aren't working because their case hasn't been heard. A lot of these are unsubstantiated, but we need to move this process on. They need to start within a month. This plan is an urgent step to put a stop to the abuse and neglect that is now being reported at Kiley, Ludeman, Mabley, Shapiro developmental centers. The Help Protect Us and Improve Our Home proposal is a realistic plan to make the improvements needed as the majority of our state developmental centers, a place residents call their home. I am more than willing to work with DHS and the elected officials to help foster a safe, loving, and healthy home where our most vulnerable can happily live, fulfilling their lives. I encourage our representatives from the other side of the aisle to come and visit. Several of them have. I'm very pleased. We're always happy to give tours. And I hope our reporters come and walk through our facilities and see them and talk to the family members there and meet our residents. They are very special, loving, kind people.